5 health checkups you should avoid after 70 that may harm you more than help. There's a hidden truth that most seniors will never hear from their doctors. Every year, millions of seniors line up for health checkups thinking they're staying safe. But what if I told you that some of those tests, the routine ones your doctor says you need, could actually push you closer to surgery, stroke, or even cancer? New studies reveal that up to 37% of medical tests in seniors lead to unnecessary treatments, complications, or lifelong side effects. And shockingly, 99% of people over 70 have no idea they're being overused. One of these checkups, the number 1 on our list, actually causes 5% of all cancer cases in the US, which is equal to the number cases causes by drinking alcohol every day. You won't hear this from your clinic. You won't see it on a billboard, but the truth is buried in the science. And today, we're uncovering it all. In this video, the 5 health checkups you should avoid after 70 and the terrifying truth about what they can do to your body. All backed by real science. And you won't believe what made it to number 2. Before we begin, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from, your age, and have you ever regretted a test or procedure? Do you think seniors are tested too much? We're reading and replying to every single comment with personalized tips and advice. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Now, without any further ado, let's talk about the first test. Why it looks harmless, but could quietly ruin your quality of life. Number 5, bone density scan. It sounds harmless. A quick scan, no pain, no needles, and you walk out knowing whether your bones are at risk for fractures. But here's what no one tells you. Past the age of 70, a bone density scan can often create more fear than benefit. This scan, which is officially called a DEXA scan, measures how strong your bones are. It's primarily used to detect osteoporosis. But in older adults, especially women, the results almost always come back showing lower density, even when there's no real danger. That's because bone loss is a natural part of aging. Just like wrinkles or gray hair, it happens to everyone. And yet, many seniors are pushed into taking medications like bisphosphonates, which are supposed to strengthen bones, but come with serious side effects like jaw necrosis, which is a rare condition where the jawbone starts to die, and esophageal irritation. Now, here's the problem. Studies have shown that treating mild bone loss in people over 70 with medication has little to no impact on actual fracture rates. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society followed over 1,200 women over 70 and found that bisphosphonates reduced fracture risk by only 0.3% after 5 years. That's not nothing, but it's far from life-saving. Instead, those women were far more likely to suffer from medication side effects, including digestive issues, inflammation in the esophagus, and brittle bones that break in odd ways. Let me tell you about Rose, a 76-year-old retired piano teacher who was referred for a DEXA scan after her annual checkup. She had never had a fall, no pain, and walked daily. Her scan came back showing osteopenia, which is a mild reduction in bone density that is not considered osteoporosis. Her doctor immediately started her on alendronate, which is a bisphosphonate. 3 months in, she developed severe reflux and jaw pain. By the time we saw her, she hadn't played piano in weeks that we took her off the meds, started her on a regimen of vitamin D, weight-bearing exercises like resistance bands, and a calcium-rich diet with foods like sardines and leafy greens. A year later, she was back to performing watals with stronger legs, better balance, and 0 fractures. A short scan may seem like a smart move, but for people over 70 who aren't falling or breaking bones, the better option is lifestyle. Strength training, balance exercises, proper nutrition, and treating vitamin D deficiency have been shown to reduce fractures by over 20% according to a 2022 Osteoporosis International study. Don't let a number on a screen scare you into treatment you may not need. But there's one scan that can lead to something even scarier. Brain surgery. Let's move to the next point. Number 4, brain MRI for memory problems. When older adults start feeling more forgetful or a little confused, the first reaction is usually fear. Fear of dementia, fear of Alzheimer's disease. Because of this, doctors often decide to order a brain MRI. But here is the reality many people don't expect. MRIs are very detailed scans that show the brain structure, yet they usually do not provide the clear answers patients hope to get. In fact, most MRIs done in people over the age of 70 show normal aging changes. This can include mild shrinkage or small white spots in the brain, which are very common in healthy older adults. The problem is that once these spots appear on a report, they can create worry, lead to more tests, and sometimes even lead to treatments or procedures that may not help memory at all and can sometimes make things worse. In 2021, a report discussed in Neurology Today looked at more than 3,000 MRI scans from adults between 70 and 85 who had mild memory concerns. About 86% showed some kind of abnormal finding, but only around 3% were connected to a condition that could actually be treated. This means that about 97% of people went through the stress of hearing that something looked wrong when it was simply normal aging. Even more concerning, nearly 12% were sent for more invasive tests such as spinal taps or other procedures because of unclear scan results. Consider the example of George, a 74-year-old retired engineer who became worried about his memory. He was still sharp, but noticed he misplaced his keys more often and occasionally forgot names. His doctor ordered an MRI, which showed white matter changes. George became very anxious and believed he was developing dementia. He stopped driving and stopped attending social activities. Over time, his anxiety grew worse. Later, when he completed a standard cognitive screening test, his score was well within the normal range. He was reassured that his MRI findings were typical for his age. Instead of more testing, he focused on simple lifestyle steps like improving sleep, staying hydrated, and doing mental exercises. Within a few months, his memory concerns settled, and he felt confident again. The key point is that unless someone has serious neurological symptoms such as seizures, sudden major personality changes, or a fast decline in daily functioning, a brain MRI is usually not very helpful for mild memory issues. A more practical first step is a cognitive screening test. This is a simple paper and pencil assessment that checks memory, attention, and thinking skills. It is affordable, reliable, and helps avoid unnecessary fear. And now, get ready, because the next test on the list is one many people have experienced several times, and there's a good reason it ranks at number 3. Number 3, cardiac stress test. It's one of the most common tests given to seniors complaining of mild fatigue, chest tightness, or just not feeling like they used to. The cardiac stress test, which is a procedure that monitors your heart while walking on a treadmill or being given medication that simulates exercise, is meant to spot blocked arteries. But after 70, this test often does more harm than good, especially when used on people who don't have any clear signs of heart disease. That's because it can lead to false alarms and unnecessary heart procedures that carry serious risks. The problem isn't the accuracy. Studies show that in adults over 70, the false positive rate for stress tests, meaning the test says there's a problem when there isn't, can be as high as 40%. That leads to follow-up tests like angiograms and even unnecessary stent placement or bypass surgery. In 2017, a major study in JAMA Cardiology found that more than half of all stances placed after stress test referrals were done in patients who had no real symptoms or benefit. And those patients had no improvement in survival or quality of life after the procedure. What they did have, however, were higher rates of bleeding, kidney injury from contrast dyes, and prolonged hospital stays. This happened to Raymond, a 75-year-old retired postman who stayed active by walking every day. During a checkup, he mentioned he sometimes felt tired on hills. His doctor scheduled a stress test just to be sure. The results were unclear, so he was sent for a catheterization, which is a test that inserts a tube into the arteries to check for blockages. A mild narrowing was found, and a stent was placed. But that night, Raymond had a reaction to the contrast dye and developed kidney problems. He spent 6 days in the hospital and needed follow-up care for weeks. The fatigue never changed because it wasn't a heart problem to begin with. He was simply an older man who needed better hydration and more rest between meals. If you're over 70 and not experiencing classic cardiac symptoms like chest pain during activity, shortness of breath on exertion, or a significant drop in energy during light exercise, then a stress test may do more harm than good. A better option is often a resting EKG, which is a test that looks at the heart's rhythm while you're still, or even a coronary calcium scan, which is a low-radiation imaging test that shows whether dangerous plaque is building up. These are safer, simpler, and far less likely to push you into a procedure you didn't need. Number 2, colonoscopy. This might surprise you, but a colonoscopy, a test that uses a long, flexible camera to look inside the colon, is not always the best choice after the age of 70. After 75, it is rarely recommended unless someone has clear symptoms. The reason is simple. The risks increase as people get older. The preparation alone can be very tough on the body. It usually involves strong laxatives that empty the bowels completely. For older adults, this can lead to dehydration, weakness, dizziness, and sometimes even kidney problems. The sedation used during the procedure can also affect brain function and may cause confusion or slow recovery in seniors. The procedure itself is not risk-free either. Possible complications include bleeding, small tears in the colon, or heart rhythm problems while under sedation. A large 2019 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine followed more than 1.3 million Medicare patients aged 70 and older. Researchers found that for every 1,000 colonoscopies performed in adults over 75, only about 2 lives were saved, while more than 20 people experienced serious complications. This shows that the risks can outweigh the benefits for many older adults. Even when doctors find polyps, they are often small and grow very slowly. In some seniors, removing these polyps can cause more harm than simply monitoring them. Take the example of Dana, a 73-year-old grandmother who ran a small bakery with her daughter. She felt healthy, had no bleeding, no changes in bowel habits, and no family history of colon cancer. Still, her new doctor encouraged her to get a routine colonoscopy, and she agreed. During the test, a small polyp was removed, and she was sent home the same day. Later that night, she developed severe stomach pain and fainted. At the hospital, doctors discovered a perforation in her bowel. She spent 9 days recovering, lost 10 pounds, and never fully regained her previous strength. When her records were reviewed, it turned out she had already had 2 normal colonoscopies in earlier years, so repeating the test was not really necessary. Today, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force advises that routine colon cancer screening usually stop at age 75 for most people. For older adults who are in very good health, a stool-based test such as the FIT test, a simple at-home test that checks for hidden blood in the stool, can be a safer choice. It requires no preparation, no sedation, and still detects most serious problems. It's always a good idea to talk with your doctor about other options, because once regular colonoscopies begin, they often continue automatically. And now we come to the number 1 test on the list, the one that is used the most, carries the greatest risks, and may cause the most harm for seniors. And chances are, you've had it at least once. Number 1, yearly full-body CT scans. These scans are sometimes sold as part of premium health packages or preventive checkups at private clinics. They are often promoted as a smart way to detect cancer early. But here is what many people don't realize. A full-body CT scan exposes the body to a large amount of ionizing radiation. For adults over 70, the chance of being sent for extra tests, biopsies, or even surgeries after the scan is very high. And surprisingly, there is no solid proof that doing full-body scans in people without symptoms actually helps them live longer. Each scan gives roughly 10 to 20 millisieverts of radiation, which is similar to the exposure from hundreds of chest X-rays. A modeling study published in 2023 in JAMA Internal Medicine suggested that the growing use of CT scans in the United States could account for as much as 5% of cancers, placing it in the same risk range as alcohol. In simple terms, about 1 out of every 20 cancers might be linked to radiation from scans that were meant to detect disease early. That is not just unhelpful, it can be frightening. These scans often pick up tiny nodules, calcium spots, or small cysts that are harmless and simply part of normal aging. But once something shows up on the report, it usually leads to more imaging, more tests, and a lot of anxiety. Consider Marcus, an energetic 80-year-old who used to teach martial arts to other seniors. He felt healthy but signed up for an elite health screening at a private clinic. His full-body scan found a very small 3mm nodule, which triggered a series of follow-ups. He was referred to cancer specialists, had a PET scan, and eventually went through a needle biopsy. The results showed the nodule was harmless, but the biopsy caused part of his lung to collapse, and he needed to stay in the hospital. His recovery took 2 months, all because of something that never needed treatment in the first place. Today, specialists strongly advise that full-body CT scans should not be used as routine screening for adults who have no symptoms. The American College of Radiology states clearly that there is no proven benefit and that the potential harms are real. If someone has warning signs like unexplained weight loss, coughing up blood, or a visible lump, then targeted imaging can be very helpful. But scanning the entire body without a clear reason is like searching everywhere at once. You might find something, but the risks may be greater than the benefit. A smarter and safer approach is to pay attention to how you feel. If you are well, keep up with regular visits to your primary doctor and only do tests that are truly necessary. Your health, time, and peace of mind are too important to spend on tests driven by fear that could leave you worse off than before. So that brings us to the end of the list. 5 checkups that may sound helpful, but can sometimes cause harm, especially after the age of 70. Modern medicine can do amazing things, but it is not flawless, and in many cases, less testing can be the better choice. Always ask what comes next. If a test finds something, will it change treatment? Are the risks higher than the possible benefits? If the answers are uncertain, it may be wise to pause and think carefully. And remember, true prevention begins with daily habits. Stay physically active, eat balanced meals, get good sleep, and choose your medical tests thoughtfully. Now we would like to hear from you. Have you or someone close to you ever gone through problems from a medical test or treatment that later seemed unnecessary? What was your experience? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.